thank you. When we were first opening, it was sort of get stuff, fill the rack. A concept. It's like I took some stuff out of my collection, and then it was sort of like I've met way too many men in parking lots off of Craigslist buying records.
Sure.
So I've gotten a lot pickier with what I buy.
Sure. Well, you can
people,
at this point.
Yeah, and you just know that quality is something that is going to make us different than other places, hopefully. And sometimes you see some titles that you would just love to have, but the quality's just not what you want to put into the store.
Right.
So you sometimes have to walk away from what you were hoping would be a great collection to bring in, and then other times you find stuff that looks like it's never been played, and it's like Christmas.
That's a good moment, and especially because, and you brought it up, I mean, kids collected vinyl. It was a young person's thing, and much like how people take care of their DVDs or their CDs, even, it depends on the person, as well.
And that you find that in some people's idea of vinyl still being in great shape and really being in great shape.
Yeah.
And where people would put their name on things.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, did you really have to put your name on every album cover?
Right in the middle of the prism on Dark Side.
Yes. Right in the middle of someone's face or in someone's neck. You're just, and there's some people that would not only put it on the cover, but you also had to put it on the label, the record too, as if you might somehow the two would get separated and you had to get them back together. So there's sometimes with collections, and I've got customers that they don't care about the cover.
Yeah, I personally don't care.
It's all about the vinyl. Then I have other people that care more about the cover than what they do about the vinyl. And it's like, okay. And then I've got some people that it is all about the cover, that are just buying them, they take them to shows, they get them autographed, so they want a great cover for that. And then there's some that want both to be perfect.
Yeah, well, and
be the mint.
That's a rare bird when you find
a
good vinyl and a good cover. And living in Missouri and here in the Midwest, I mean, we are subject to so much with heat and moisture and flooding and all kinds of horrible things. I mean, I've seen records they look like they're about to sprout mushrooms in a lot of ways.
And I've had people bring in, since we've been here now getting close to a year and a half, people will bring stuff in to sell to me. And I've had stuff come in that the amount of dust, and this one box had mud dauber.
Oh.
and half the records didn't have covers, and they thought they had a treasure. And I'm going through, and there was nothing of value. And the very bottom record was a record by The Clash. Nothing else was even in that era.
Spectrum, yeah.
And there was an album by The Clash.
Wow.
And it's like, there's one record in this, and it was the very bottom one, and I figured to clean it up. So I bought one record out of this, just terrible, and cleaned it up, and it turned out to play fine. And,
fantastic.
But it's scary with what some people bring in.
Well, the idea of a hornet's nest growing on a record, I mean, that alone sounds like an artistic piece in a lot of ways.
It was, and you try not to insult people.
Oh, of course.
And you just try to be nice, and it's like this. And sometimes people will walk in with stuff that is just beautiful, and stuff that you never dreamed you would ever see, that you could buy, and then have to, like, as soon as I'm looking at stuff, and it's like, oh, I have a customer for this, or I have a customer for this, or I have a customer for this. And that's the fun thing. And then it's like, okay, what kind of crazy price is the person going to want for the collection? So that's always fun to try to
ever seen
balancing act.
First State Butcher cover? That ever wander in?
No, I haven't. My one experience, one of my major influences on my musical taste was my high school history teacher, and he used to bring in his Beatles albums and play for us. We'd do a thing before school would start, and he'd talk to us about the Beatles.
Wow.
And there was a group of us, small group, and he'd play Beatles music, and he'd tell us about the '60s. I mean, it was a history class that wasn't on the curriculum of the school, but he had his cover, and I'm holding it, and I'm feeling the edges, and it was this was 78, 79. No internet, so you don't know all the different details. And I'm like, they pasted over covers. I know, I've read that. I think you might have
a second state.
And he took it. We went down to the art instructor's room, and she had something to remove the adhesive and peeled it back, and it was there. And he'd had this since it had come out, with no idea that he actually had one covered over.
Oof. Yeah, I've got one in my collection.
Wow.
It's a crown jewel. And speaking of collections, how many pieces do you have in your own personal collection?
Well, I had over 500 records in my collection. I was one of the people that went to CDs and went CDs hard.
Yeah.
Running shops, I would order in anything and everything. I had access to order from different places. So when CDs came out, I got my first CD player in '83 or '4, and from that point on, I sadly turned my back on vinyl and went with CDs. So I had the 500 vinyl. My CD collection at one point was probably somewhere close to 3,000.
Wow, incredible.
But I sort of regret. I was sadly the person that bought way too many 8-tracks in the 70s. So I had a huge 8-track collection back then that was a total waste of money.
Yeah. Well, and now, you know, it's so funny. I see tapes kind of coming back in general, but it doesn't seem to have the same appeal, you know, at all.
There's a little resurgence with cassettes, but there isn't.
Yeah.
It's we have a few 8-tracks, but we have a good selection of cassettes in the store.
Very good selection.
Wide range of types of music and cassettes. I just have it to offer. Prices are very reasonable. Our cassettes start at $1.
Yeah.
There are people that come in that still want cassettes, so we're here to offer. We still have people that love CDs. A lot of the big box places are going away from not handling CDs at all.
Yeah.
So that meant I double our CD selection, do just the opposite of what big business does.
You know, everything's cyclical.
It is.
And it is becoming a thing now where they are offering stuff on CDs that aren't going to be on the vinyl reissues, aren't going to be on the MP3s or whatever, what have you. So I could totally see that happening. Let's see here. What, in your opinion, is the holy grail vinyl? It's the one piece that you would do anything to get your hands on, either for your personal collection or to have in the shop or whatever, what have you.
Well, this was the anniversary for the White Album. The earliest editions of the White Album were numbered, and if you could get a good quality, good cover, good vinyl, had the posters, had the 4 pictures of that would be with the number would be right up there. I've been very lucky. We've had I picked up an open copy of Rattle and Hum recently.
Wow,
That was just like it was a great day. Love Sexy Prince. Picked up an open copy of that.
Wow.
So finding out there some unopened copies is always fun. Last March, a gentleman came in with a large collection that I bought, and he had a ton of Beatles stuff in there, and there were a group in one box of all these Beatles albums. There was 2 White Albums, not any that was first issue, but